Hey, it's me. I'm finally back with another video. I'm still working on the next ketamine trip report like I said I would in my community post. I know I'm taking forever, but I promise it's gonna come out eventually. But I'm sitting here and I'm high and I'm drunk and it's 4:20. So I thought it would be fun to just off the cuff, no script, tell the story of the first time that I ever smoked weed. And normally I don't do unscripted videos for a number of reasons. The first reason being is that I'm really bad at staying on track and telling stories even when I'm sober. So this is gonna be a mess, but I don't know. I thought it'd be funny in this way. There's actually some content out, and I should have told the story a long time ago, and it makes sense that I'm doing a 420 episode. I should have done that a long time ago too. But anyway, in freshman year of high school, I've talked about this before, but I met my two friends who are in most of my videos. They're not my friends anymore, but in most of my videos, Tony and Isaac, and I started getting into doing drugs with them. And I did DXM. I'm trying to think. I don't think I did DPH at this point. I might have started using my Vyvanse by now, but they had done weed a long time ago, and I've really wanted to do weed, and we were looking for people who had it at school. But this kid, we changed seating in math class, and this kid who was placed next to me was a really big stoner, and he started talking about how he was doing weed and all this stuff. And so at the end of class, I ask him if he can sell us any, and he says yeah. Well, I ask him if he can get us edibles specifically, because he says he has these edible gummies, and he's like, yeah, sure, I can talk to my friend who has them. And so I got him in contact with me and Tony and Isaac, and I shit you not, for probably what it felt like 3 months. It might have just been 1 or 2 months, but every single day on our text messages at the end of school to all of us, he'd be like, okay, so I got it ready for you guys. Tomorrow morning I'll bring it in. And then every morning he'd have some excuse about why he didn't have it. And then it was just over and over. And I just feel kind of bad, because some of it was stuff like, oh, it was my mom in the hospital. But after 3 weeks of him doing this and saying he'll get it, but then also for whatever reason not just telling us to forget it. So I don't, and it was just really the thing that is he promised us every day that he would have it the next day. If it just took him a while to get it, that would be different. But it got to the point where I was really, really annoyed with this dude, and we all were. And so I guess Tony said something to him, well, maybe we could just get real weed, like bud that you smoke. And I somehow, he's talking maybe we could do that, but it wasn't confirmed, and Tony didn't tell me that. But he was like, okay, I got this for you. I'm gonna drive it over to your house. And he gives it to me, and I thought it was gonna be a gummy that would be easy to hide, but it's a full bag of weed. So I run in my house with it in the Ziploc, and I'm freaking out because I've never had weed before, and I know that it smells, and I'm in high school, so I get in trouble if I get caught. So I remember this thing that I watched a long time before I did drugs, when I was like back in like middle school even. I watched this YouTuber called Luna, who's kind of like Goblin, but I think his stories are fake and not all of his stories are about drugs. But he had this video called like how to hide your weed, and one of them was you get a deodorant stick and you take out the deodorant, like you completely remove the deodorant inside, and then you put the little weed baggie in there and you put the deodorant back on over it. And so I take the deodorant stick and I put it in there, and it actually works. This random thing that I remembered. But I'm all tweaking out about having this, and I'm like excited, but I'm really nervous. So I'm like, oh well, I need to get a lighter. And so I got one of my mom's like cigarette lighters, and I was like, well, I'm gonna take it out and put the lighter in there with it. So the lighter's hidden, which obviously the lighter doesn't fit in there. So I fucking mangle and destroy this deodorant stick, and there's deodorant flakes all over the fucking bathroom floor, and the Ziploc bag is covered in deodorant. And I realize like, oh, fucking obviously this lighter's not gonna fit in here. So I put it back in as best as I can, but now it's like a mangled, destroyed deodorant stick on top of a fucking weed baggie. So I put it back, and eventually we had to wait a while, because what we would do in high school is we'd wait until one of our parents would say that we could sleep over at each other's houses, like we're in elementary school or something, like, oh, we're gonna have a sleepover. But we go over to Tony's house is what we would do a lot of the time. So that we decide we're gonna go over there, have a sleepover, and do the weed. But yeah, so eventually she says we can all come over, and we get down there, and we hang out in his room for most of the day. And Tony actually ends up doing like DXM, even though we're gonna do weed. He drinks some cough syrup, and he starts getting really high. Well, Isaac and I are still sober, and we get out the weed, and like I said, it's fucking covered in deodorant. But first, Isaac is like, oh, well, we need to make a water bottle bong. That's what we did that's what me and Tony did last time. And he's trying really hard to like make it, but for some reason he doesn't know how to make it properly anymore. He can't get it to work. So we're all disappointed, because eventually we end up thinking that we're not going to be able to do it, and we're all pissed off because Tony is tripping and being really annoying, and me and Isaac are just kind of disappointed. But eventually he pulls up another thing that's like a pen pipe, where you take apart a pen or or like a mechanical pencil. And what you do, this is really unhealthy, you make a bowl for the weed out of aluminum foil, and then you smoke it through the fucking pen. And as fucking like ghetto as that is, he makes it, and this time it actually works. And so me and him go back and forth and just smoke a lot. Tony smoked some too. And yes, we're doing this in the house, by the way, which is the dumbest fucking thing. I don't know how we didn't get caught. I feel like Tony's parents knew, even though I don't know if they knew, they'd probably get super mad. So I don't know, but we're smoking inside his room. And I don't know, like, especially when I was a kid in high school, but even now, sometimes if you don't have like a tolerance to weed, you start tripping on the weed a little bit. And so I'm like really high and kind of tripping. And also like I don't know if it was because it was real weed. This is before all the Delta 8 stuff, and because it was smoked, and it was my first ever time. But I haven't had weed that felt that good like ever since. It's probably because it's probably a lot of it because it's my first time. That's the same way with DXM. Like, I'll never feel as good as the first one did again. But we go back and forth just smoking that. Tony has a decent amount. We just hang out. We're tripping really hard. At one point, we're like dancing to music. I think like we were like me and Isaac were messaging each other on Discord, and he said this thing that was like, dude and naughty or something, that was like key smash and a bunch of emojis, and then that kind of became like an inside joke for us after that, where we'd say that a lot like after this experience. But eventually I think we all smoke like the entire gram or whatever that it was, and we somehow get the smoke cleared. I don't know how we didn't. I think we had the window open, but I don't know how we didn't get caught. Like, that's so stupid. But we sleep, and that's pretty much it. We go to bed. We got weed from this kid, that kid in my math class. A couple other times he made us these like really shitty edibles one time, and we did them in Isaac's basement. But I don't know, we always had so much trouble getting stuff from that kid, and no offense to him, but he was kind of dumb. Like, he was a nice guy, but he was just really slow. So we never got anything from him again, and we eventually got weed like through the dark net or meeting other people. And then once Delta 8 and Delta 10 and all that stuff came out, and we were old enough to go into like vape shops, we'd always get that. But I feel like it doesn't hit the same. It's just not as good. So I'm kind of nostalgic for the first couple times I did it, when it was actually fun. Because those early weed things were one of the few times where it was actually fun. Like, a lot of my other, like DXM or DPH or LSD sleepovers were really shitty because we'd all have a bad time. But these were fun. And I don't know, it was just fun. So just wanted to talk about that while it's still 4:20 in my time zone for another hour. So thanks for listening to me. I promise I will work on that ketamine report and get it out soon. I have it like halfway done. Yeah, I mean, you guys are used to me being really, really bad at getting content out, but thanks for the people who do stick around and listen. It means a lot. Peace.